Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest episode of Ami Sites. Today, I am your hostess, Lynn Ozer, and we have the most special guest, Ami Kassar. We're here with our entire multi-funding advisor team to put Ami in the hot seat and ask him lots of good questions to help you get to know him better. So, welcome. What we're going to do is I'm going to call on my associates who I'll introduce you to one at a time. We have Joe McAleer, Julie Czar, and Nick LaSorsa. First up today, we have Fran Miller, who's going to ask Ami the very first question. Go ahead, Fran.
I'm in the lucky position to be in the first off the track. So yeah, Ami, can't wait to hear this one. But first question: what's the customer success story that you believe best reminds you or sort of reinforces why you created multi-funding that you can think of in a good decade and a half of seeing deals, and what comes to mind?
We have a lot of favorite customers, and first of all, pretty honored to do this. Lynn forgot to mention that her name is also AKA SBA Queen, but she forgot that part.
Yeah, I did forget that.
So, we've all worked with so many clients over the years, and we're all passionate to pick one favorite. One of my favorites, though, is a guy I won't mention his by name, but he's out in California. He's a high school dropout, and he built his trucking company up to over 150 tractor trailers. And do you know what his dog's name was? Dog.
Pretty simple guy.
When we helped him, we used the SBA tool at the time to improve his cash flow by $1 million a year, which was desperately needed to push him through a growth curve. And I loved it, and I love doing that for him. And we stay friends and in touch on social media, and might see the world a little bit different politically, but that doesn't matter. He's a great guy.
Terrific. Thanks for that question, Fran. How about you, Joe?
So my question probably is a little bit similar to Fran's, but Ami, in 15, right? 15 plus years of owning, creating this remarkable business that we all have the pleasure to work for. What would you identify as your biggest accomplishment, or when do you feel like you really found that biggest accomplishment in our tenure here of you owning this business?
So it's interesting. I don't believe in like a lot of these awards and stuff, as you know. Like, you don't see me trying to get on the Inc. 5000 list. I think it's a bunch of hoopla. I think the biggest accomplishment of our team is actually right here. We have a core team of members. We trust each other. We respect each other. We take care of each other in the same way that we take care of our customers. That's not easy to build. It doesn't go perfectly in a straight line. And as we scale it, it's even challenging to scale it. You should look forward to getting up in the morning and going to work. And so many people in so many banks that we deal with so much political BS and so much crap and so much infighting, and we don't. And I think that makes it rewarding for me, and good that if you're good at home, inside your home, you can treat your customers well.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Sure it does.
love it.
Lynn, do you miss any politics in big banks?
Not even remotely. And with that, I'll go right to Julie Czar, who could probably attest to that. How much do you miss the corporate politics, Julie? And ask your question.
None whatsoever. So my question actually goes back to what made you actually want to get into the SBA lending business, and how did it start?
There you go.
When we started multi-funding, I didn't think about it that it was going to be an SBA business. I don't think Joe or Fran, who were with me in the early years, for the first several years, it was only a little bit SBA. Our whole mission was we wanted to help our clients find the best possible loan solutions for them and be transparent with them about what they were going in. And let's be clear, like so many businesses in the beginning years, especially at the very beginning years, we didn't really know what the hell we were doing. But as we learned and as we evolved, we really learned that for so many of our clients that we serve, the SBA makes sense a good 90 or 95% of the time. And so that's how we built our expertise. what made me get
That's really
to be treated
how
like
I
I want
thought
to
it
be treated.
was.
Yeah. I wanted entrepreneurs to be treated how I want to be treated, right? And we all do. And so if you're helping someone through a capital solution and you're not at least giving serious consideration to the SBA when they're in a sub $10 million business, you're doing them a disservice.
Well, Ami, way back when, in the very first year, what would be the one thing in that first year that you would do differently?
I mean, if I wasn't so obstinate and full of myself and just determined, we wouldn't be here. Okay.
That's a good question.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And I tell people that our revenue in the first year was like $13,000. And it took 10 or 11 months. This was really before any of you guys were here, before we closed a loan. And we literally, in those first 9, 10 months, had no idea what we were doing. And then slowly and steadily, it got better and it got stronger. But I always tell people, suggest to people, if you're going to start a business, be really passionate about what you're doing, because it's going to be tougher, longer, and more miserable to get going than you can ever imagine.
I think Nick has a great question along those same lines. Nick.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Ami, what's one decision you made early on that completely changed the trajectory of multifunding?
I don't know if there's one decision that necessarily changed it, but I do remember when I started with a partner, and we used to work together. And 4 months or 3 or 4 months after we started, he decided he was moving back to Austria, where he was from. And I was like, I almost had at the time a heart attack, because I was going back to my corporate roles, and I thought he was the finance guy and I was the marketing and biz dev guy, and I didn't know anything about finance and lending. And so now how the hell was I going to do this, and what was I going to do? And then I realized that if I don't really start this business by knowing everything about how it works and how it operates, and actually becoming a subject matter expert on what we were trying to do, that we weren't going to succeed. And so I decided, I think at some point I hired somebody for 3 months. That didn't work. I'm like, I got to learn this business. And that changed. Maybe that slowed us down a little bit, but it actually eventually sped us up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So becoming the subject matter expert really changed the trajectory.
And everyone here on this on this call, except for Julie and Lynn, Joe, Fran, Nick, and I, we learned SBA on the job. I mean, you guys learned it on the job at some point too, but you learned it on the job before you got here. We learned it on the job at multifunding. Joe, remember that first was it that dental center you did in Maryland or something?
Never gonna forget it. Yep.
We didn't know. I did a couple, like, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were just figuring it out. So,
well, I have to say that even when I got here, to add some technical expertise, you guys, Ami, Joe, and Fran had done an incredibly good job of teaching yourself everything, because the questions I get are not vanilla at all. So you clearly know the basics and have done an amazing job at
we like
that.
to play. You guys are trying to stump me. You're trying to play stump me today, but we like to play stump Lynn.
Yeah, that's my whole job, and the more people I have to call to get the answer, the more challenging it is. It's great. And everybody really, really hard. And I think they have some questions about what you're doing when you're not working that hard. Fran, did you want to ask Ami something else about, like, maybe what he's doing when he's not at multifunding those 3 hours a week?
Yeah, we need to know whose chores are responsibility of you and Bethany at home, and who's taking care of the dogs. Because we hear all that when we get into the office, but we need to know what the Kassar household looks like on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, don't listen to a thing my wife says. I take care of everything at home. I mean, I would like to do more at home, but she's a control freak. And if she wasn't such a control freak, I would be happy to do more at home. But if that's the way she chooses to organize her life, what's the guy supposed to do about it?
Yes, darling. It's a great 2 words. Joe, what's your question?
Ami, just a fun question for you. I know you've traveled a lot, and what would you say is the coolest place you've ever gone, or coolest trip you've ever taken? And
That's a great question. I travel a lot, as everyone knows, in the U.S., and to be honest, a lot of that just becomes a grind. Sometimes you don't even know what city you're waking up in. So it's probably a few of the international trips, but I think we talked about this on one of the podcasts. 2 years ago, I went with Bethany to South Africa for EO's Global Leadership Conference. And for those who don't know, I was born there, and we moved to the States when I was 8, and Bethany had never been there, and I hadn't been there 35 years. And I went to synagogue on the one Friday night there, and I sat in my grandfather's seat that still has his name on it. And that gave me shivers, and I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Yeah, I remember us talking in detail about that trip, Ami. I know you and Bethany thoroughly enjoyed that. Julie, what's your question for Ami?
Well, considering I get text messages at 3:30 in the morning on a weekend, which means we're working, what's your favorite pastime other than that, or favorite hobby?
So I'm definitely guilty of not having many hobbies, which is a weakness I have to work on in my life. But somehow I get to blend, though, my passion. You could call my passion in life is helping entrepreneurs. And so I do a ton of volunteer work for EO Entrepreneurs Organization. It kind of blends together, although I try really hard to keep church and state separate. I don't do EO to get business. I mean, I get some business out of it, but it's not why I do EO. But if there's an entrepreneur in need, or who we can provide some support or care or help for, or help them through it, a lot of time. I also love being a parent and a son and a brother and a father and a husband. Oh yeah, that part. And so, life is busy. I'm not a big golfer. I don't think I'll ever be a big golfer or anything like this. I just kind of do my thing and focus on what I like to do, and enjoying it.
That's great.
I'm sort of guilty of not having many passions and many hobbies, and shame on me for that. But sometimes church and state merges for me a little bit. My passion in life is really helping entrepreneurs. If I can be helpful to an entrepreneur on their journey and help them make their dream successful, that's a win for me. So I spend a lot of time volunteering in different capacities for EO Entrepreneurs Organization. And with WhatsApp and other channels, that can happen 24/7, which is sometimes why you find me awake in the middle of the night, not sleeping very well. So that's kind of what I do, but it's time for me to find some other hobbies also. It's not really very balanced. So,
How's your golf game?
it's great, Len.
I
Last time they
wasn't
took me
expecting
fishing, I
that
caught a
answer.
pelican. Okay.
Okay, maybe you should stick to lending money. Probably a better idea. Okay, I have a question. It's not totally disrelated to business, but it doesn't have to be your business mentor. But who was your most memorable mentor and why?
I've had a lot of mentors over the years, and I feel grateful for that. And I encourage everyone to have mentors. I think you need them, and they're very valuable. But one of them taught me early on that when I was building my first startup, which eventually failed, building a company is like walking on a tightrope. And there'll be times when you're climbing up the hill, and there'll be times when you're climbing down the hill where you feel like you're losing your balance, and your job is to do everything you can to struggle like hell to get back in balance. Like, I understood that when I was climbing down the hill. And then at different points when we've been climbing up the hill too, I also started to realize that was in fact true also. And that's just one thing that sticks with me. But I would strongly encourage everyone to do what you can to try find mentors. It's very important, very useful.
And as an author, yourself, is there anyone you would want to sit down with and interview? Maybe not about business, but I know that's your passion, but is there anybody that you're dying to have a conversation with, dead or alive? I mean, it's not happening, so let's see.
I mean, one of the things that fascinates me, but is really understanding the psychology of political leaders of both parties. If you become the president of the United States, irrespective of whether you agree with your politics, you're no dummy. And you sort of are wired by a different DNA. I would love to sit down one day with a president or ex-president and try to understand what makes them tick. But it'll likely never happen, which is okay. But that might be. It's
Oh,
not even necessarily one particular one, but like what got them there and what made them tick. I do try, guys. You might believe it's not true, but I do try to really decompress one day on the weekend. I did learn early on in the first few years of multi-funding, I was drinking probably a couple of liters of Diet Coke a day to keep going. I don't know if you remember those days, guys.
Yep.
And I learned that you've got to, if you don't take time for decompression, whether that's just sitting and watching the TV or going to Costco and running errands or hanging out with the kids or whatever it might be, that your body needs that. Now, I probably should have more hobbies and habits and things I like to do for fun. I could do that. But I have learned that if you can't work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, that's non sustainable and non healthy.
nope. Thank God you have a family because they pull you away. And it seems to me that that's the only thing that pulls you away, and they're good at it. So it's great.
But it's not, you got to find that balance. I think we all do. And I encourage all of us to do the same thing, right? It's sort of, one of the things I think about for everyone here also is all of our own mental health, and do we have the resources so we can all grow and expand and have that time. I mean, Joe, you're a new parent. Like, it's the best thing in the freaking world, right?
Yep.
Like, you should have that time. If you don't have that time, you're doing something wrong.
Well,
I'm an old parent, so I'm over it. But you're a new parent.
it doesn't get easier. It only gets more complicated.
But she was
And
just
the adage that little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems is so true.
yeah,
So all of my friends here with young or no children yet, just you wait, you will see.
yeah.
But
You just wait.
in all seriousness, multi-funding is about to have or cross over a huge mark, a huge transition as we reach our $1 billion funding. Because of that, we want to talk about it and ask Ami how he's feeling about it, and feel free to say how you're feeling about it. So, Fran, what do you want to say about our $1 billion funding goal and getting there?
Well, first off, huge accomplishment and kudos to Ami for leading the charge for a good decade and a half. And I'm sure me and Joe have been thankful to be here for a decade plus and hopefully contributing to a lot of that billion. So
No kidding.
we are really proud about that. I think my question is, with the momentum we've built and the strong team behind us, how quickly is it going to get to 2 billion, right? Because I think I'm curious to see what the direction may be the next couple of years, and think that's probably much closer in the cards than was the first 15 years, frankly. So
Yeah, and it's a super great question, and it's what I don't know how to say this, but first of all, I'm proud of everyone here, and thank you for everything you all do to help us reach this milestone. And we've been through a lot of sweat and tears, and we've helped a lot of people through a lot of different stuff to get there. And what I really think about is that $1 billion, the impact of it, right? 98% of that $1 billion, or 95%, was at bank or commercial financing rates, and really built to help those companies have a long, sustainable future. And so it's not just like throwing $1 billion of hard money against the wall. It's there's a lot of passion behind that. I was going through the data, like I think it took us 2 or 2.5 years to reach $100 million. And that was a big accomplishment. And $1 billion is a big accomplishment. And at some point will be 2 billion, and then 5 billion, and then $10 billion, and it'll be amazing. But I don't know if there's exactly a straight line about how it's going to happen. What I love most about us is we pivot with the market. I mean, if you think about our business, 3 years ago, the government poured $500 billion of idle money into the market, most of it that wasn't needed. for most souls, that would have shut down their SBA loan brokerage business. But we managed to pivot and keep going. We are living right now through times that there is no playbook for, but I'm confident that we will help people find the opportunities for it. And we will keep growing. I don't know if it will go exactly in a straight line, but what I don't want to do is grow just for growth's sake. I want to grow and maintain our core values. We could have probably grown this business a lot faster if we wanted to get into monkey business. And we as a team decided not to. We don't put an entrepreneur alone. We want to put ourselves in. And I think, frankly, that's why we're still standing and why we're still here and why we still like coming to work.
True. Joe, what's your question?
Yes, again, piggybacking off of Fran and Ami's response there. Ami, when I joined the business, I thought of $1 billion funded is like just probably mind-boggling. But when you started the business and understanding what you went through and how long it took to get it going, and where you were and where things sort of went, what sort of timeline would you have originally placed on reaching such a remarkable achievement? Like, do you think you would have ever been here in 15 or so years, or did you even create that milestone for your business and have sort of a forecast for it? Or, what were your original thoughts on something like this?
The answer is I didn't even dream about it.
Right.
Like, I didn't know, right? And I didn't want to build the business like on some rapid, fast, great growth clock. I think we've done we keep building blocks to build a long-term sustainable business that hopefully can be here forever. And I didn't have a specific plan that in 1 year will be this and that year that. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. Okay. And I almost can't believe in a way that we've hit $1 billion of financing. It's sort of like, you did what? But I'm proud of it for us. And of course, I'm proud for myself, but I'm most happy we've probably helped guys create tens of thousands of jobs with that money.
Yeah.
In companies that are sustainable. And look, it's lending. 1% of it goes bad, but I was running the SBA data. 99% of our SBA loans we've done are still intact or got paid in full. So we're doing something
Impressive.
right.
Yeah,
We're doing
great.
I always say that what gauges you the most is, although you could say I'm guilty of not sleeping enough, but how well you sleep at night. And the we can sleep well at night knowing what we do. We play by the rules. We don't screw people. We don't take side cuts or shortcuts, and we do our jobs. And anyone can come in here, and I'll stand by every decision we made for every client. And one of the things I was thinking about it too the other day, in 15 years in lending business, and we've probably interacted with tens of thousands of businesses, I've been yelled at by 4 customers. And that speaks, I can think about 1 or 2 of them specifically. But in the lending business, that's pretty unbelievable and something I think we should all be proud of.
Yeah. I know. I do think that a lot of times that when we get to see these clients, they've been through a lot already. It's not often that we're the first ones into the game, and that's sometimes we have to change their opinion about lending and lenders. And I think a lot of times we're surprising because we are compassionate and human and feel their pain and understand the challenges that they're having getting their credit. And that's that speaks to all of you here and how you treat your customers. And
I think it's still true, but you can't find bad press about us on the internet. I mean, I think the worst thing somebody could ever say about us is we didn't get them alone, but they probably didn't lose much of their time, certainly didn't lose money.
Right.
So you don't see bad press about us anywhere, even out there on the internet, which I think is just unheard of in this space.
100%. So again, would it be amazing to be $2 billion in 3 years? Yes, or I'd rather be $2 billion in 5 years if that means we maintain our culture.
Yeah. And we know of businesses that, they go for the biggest, quickest, fastest route to profitability, and their goal is not entrepreneurship or the future of the businesses that they're assisting.
So what do you see as the hurdles to the next $1 billion? Is it economic? Is it lender? Is it?
Great question.
I mean,
Good
I wish
question.
I had a crystal ball about that. I don't think anyone does. What the economic environment in the United States is going to be for like the next 2 years.
Mhm.
I think we are in an unprecedented transition time. It might be good for us in the long run, but I know there will be lending opportunities in the next 2 years, and people will still need money, and they will always need for us, and there will always be a need for the SBA. So I'm not worried about our long-term sustainability. I just wish I had a clear picture where I could understand these are the opportunities in the next 2 years. There will be some in certain industries and things like that.
Okay. Next question is quite a good one for the end of this. What is more satisfying to you, Ami? Hitting 1 billion in funded loans or knowing you still haven't hit your ceiling?
It's an easy question.
But it's a good one.
It's a good one, but no, none of us have hit our ceilings. I mean, I think, and now I'm going to just pick on Fran a little bit as we grow together. Okay. Now I'm going to make him blush a little bit. Okay. When Fran started here, he had just graduated from college. I was doing all the work mostly, and he largely sat at the desk next to me for a year and just listened and learned. He was living at home. He had a girlfriend. Okay. Then they got engaged. Then they bought a house. Then they saved up enough money. Then they got married. Then now they have 2 kids, and like none of the work I was doing before, Fran does it all now. Like,
Ami, you don't even know what's Fran's doing now.
I don't even know what he talks about 3/4 of the time. I mean, that makes me proud. Like my son Sam is like a credit analyst at a bank and in New York, and he shows me he's not allowed to show me what he's working on, but he describes to me what he's working on, and I have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay.
But that's how we grow, and I love that Julie is in the middle of Montana working on all this fascinating stuff that like makes my brain hurt trying to understand it. And Joe has become our acquisition king, and I watch what Nick has learned over the last couple years, and it's amazing. And Lynn, you're like our source of wisdom. You're bashful about it. Lynn won't tell you that she's trained half the SBA lenders in this country, and she teaches us more shit than like we would have ever dreamed about. And so this glue, and we will continue to try to add people to the team. And sometimes I say what amazing is about our culture, and it's generally held true, is that people either last here 3 months or they never leave.
Yep.
So sorry, Julie and Nick, kind of stuck.
Hotel California, you check in, but you can't check out.
But mostly I'm appreciative of everybody. And we've built this whole company through community. And there's also people in the background in our marketing team and our ops team and admin team. There's poor Karen who, I don't know how the hell she keeps my calendar organized. And we harass each other all day long, but it works. And we have MC in the Philippines. We have Allie and Kate on our marketing. This is a team sport, and we really do it together. Monique produces our podcast. She's hiding, so I can't see her.
Yes.
Kate Stackhouse, who's been the organized side of my brain for like 14 years. That's a frightening place to live.
Sure is.
It's all good.
It is. And congratulations to Ami on this incredible milestone. And I'm so grateful to be part of it. And this was really fun. So thank you all of our listeners for being with us today as we took a little dive behind the scenes here at Multifunding and congratulate Ami for hitting this incredible milestone.
And all of us. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for listening.